Hey everybody, John Felt here. This is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing for March 14th. We've had a lot of action last week weather-wise, and it looks like this week will be the same. Let's get started. Well, first of all, look at all the potential weather impacts this week. We're going to have the potential for a blizzard in the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes, severe storms, a significant outbreak tomorrow into Monday, high winds, and record high temperatures. Now what we have here, these are the current weather advisories, watches, and warnings in lots of areas. Wind in the central U.S., winter-like conditions in the north, and that'll expand into severe weather watches and warnings over the next couple days in the central U.S. Now last week was really active as far as severe storm reports. Take a look at all of them, including a number of tornadoes, and unfortunately a deadly long track tornado right here from Illinois into Indiana. Now if you want to see how your winter's been going, well, if you're in the west, the red dots, those are a very mild winter. If you're in the east, the blue and purple dots, that's a very harsh winter. So it's really been a sort of a winter of two extremes, one way or the other. Now we take a look at the precipitation last week. You can see the streaks here, and that was associated with the long track thunderstorms here, and then the more widespread rain down here in the south, and then also in the Pacific Northwest, higher elevations along the coast, some very heavy precipitation. Now what about snow? Well, we did get quite a bit of snow again in the Great Lakes, so it's really adding up, and I'm going to have to sort of give an update on that once this blizzard goes through, but that's going to melt pretty quick this time of year, and then we're going to have some runoff coming down the upper Mississippi here. I think we're going to see some significant rises, but it's going to attenuate. It's going to be not go way far to the south because there's just no snow in here. But this area here is really going to be adding up the snow. Now temperatures last week, well above normal in many areas. Might sort of surprise you because it cooled off late in the week. Many areas 70s or 80s and even 90s in the south. So 70s in the brown, orange made it into the 80s. So a touch of mid to late spring in many areas, and I'll put out something on the green up, but that's progressed due to these mild weather significantly last week. But by the end of the week, it was much colder. That cold front that produced the severe weather brought cooler air, colder air in its wake. So right now we have some higher dew points down in the south. With this next system that's going to be pulled up to the north here, so it's just sort of waiting right now until that next system comes in. We do have some flooding in spots in the lower Ohio into parts of the lower Mississippi, parts of the Great Lakes. Right now, for this time of year, even though a couple tributaries got hit with some moderate flooding, for the most part, it's been fairly quiet. Okay, so let's dig into the forecast. And what we have is we have this system right here, and that is going to be our weather producer this weekend, right, sort of moving right through here. And that is going to produce the blizzard conditions and the severe storms, the high winds, and colder air moving in behind it. Now, behind it, we have this ridge of high pressure, and that'll be moving in as well behind it by mid to late next week. So it's going to bring some big temperature swings. And you can see the temperature swings here. Here's the cold air pushing in behind this cold front. But we have this area of really warm temperatures, and we're going to have extreme warmth at Denver, for example. It's going to be incredibly unusual to see temperatures nearing the 80-degree mark. And that's going to gradually push off to the east, so we're going to have a pretty big temperature swing due to that. And you can see here by Tuesday morning, we have temperatures in the single digits in this area and even below zero up here. So boy, I tell you, it's going to feel like midwinter. And on Tuesday during the day, high temperatures only in the 20s and 30s. So it's going to be big changes. Now, give you some example. Here's Louisville. High temperature 70 tomorrow. High temperature 38 on Tuesday, and high temperature by Friday back into the mid to upper 60s. So that's sort of typical of what many spots are going to see. Now, what about precipitation? Well, it looks overall pretty quiet. Some higher elevation coastal rain in the Pacific Northwest, but this is going to be the big story, I think, right in this area here, with some very heavy snow, several feet of snow, blowing snow, some ice as well. Okay, now what about week 2? Well, there's a couple trends here. One is I wanted to show you in the western U.S. Record high temperatures. That's going to be a big story with this really hot weather for this time of year in the west. The other thing I wanted to point out is really a pretty dry pattern setting up. So if anybody has any outdoor field work they want to get done, many parts of the country, it looks warm or mild and dry weather, prolonged conditions. Now, the one area that had that harsh winter, the Northeast, look at this, right through 2 weeks below normal temperatures. So unfortunately, still more like winter than spring. So a lot of action starting later today through the weekend into early in the week, then some cooler air in many spots, then by the end of the week, warming up again. Have a great week. Take care.